It doesn't scream, it seduces. Lust never kicks down the door. It slips in through the cracks. A glance, a craving, a pulse in the dark you can't quite name. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't announce itself. It just arrives. And suddenly, something inside you hungers. But this hunger is not innocent. This is not love, not connection, not even real pleasure. This is the first chain. Lust is a master of disguise. It sells itself as freedom, as power, as thrill. But in truth, it is the leash you tie around your own neck. It makes you chase what you already have, inside, only to steal it from you while you're distracted and the world feeds it. Every screen, every scroll, every image whispers, feel this, want this, lose yourself in this. But here's the secret no one tells you. The more you feed it, the less of you remains. Because lust doesn't ask for balance, it asks for ownership. Of your focus, your will, your destiny, and it always wants more. It's not a flame, it's a wildfire. What starts as a spark of desire becomes a blaze that burns through judgment, discipline, and even love. And by the time you realize you've lost control, it's already wearing your skin. So ask yourself, are you the one choosing, or are you already obeying the whisper? Lust is not just a feeling. It is the first test, the first gate, the first enemy you must face. And if you break it, then nothing can chain you again. What feels like freedom is sometimes the deepest form of slavery. You think you're choosing, you think you're free, but what if the choices you celebrate are chains in disguise? Lust wears the mask of liberty. It whispers, you're just exploring. You're just human. You're just following your desires. But how free are you if desire commands you? Imagine a man standing in a cage. The bars are invisible, but his heart races with every impulse. Every moment of silence feels unbearable. Every craving is a storm he must obey. He laughs, dances, indulges, believing he's alive. But he's not free. He's trapped, not by steel, by self-deception. That man is not rare. He is most of us. Because modern lust is no longer a whisper, it's a broadcast. It floods your senses, it attaches itself to dopamine, then calls it joy. It trains your brain to equate craving with identity, indulgence with empowerment. But true power is not in having. It's in refusing. Can you say no? Not out of fear, but out of clarity? Can you hold your fire not because you're weak, but because you're dangerous? This is the illusion, that freedom means feeding every hunger. But freedom is not the absence of boundaries, it's the presence of control, of ownership, of knowing who you are beyond your cravings. And the moment you confuse the two, you begin to serve the very thing you believe you're mastering. Lust doesn't need to chain your body. It only needs to hijack your attention. Because if it owns your focus, it owns your fate. So ask yourself, are you feeding freedom or feeding your prison? Every time you surrender to lust, you trade a piece of your future for a moment that cannot last. You may not see the price at first. It's not written in scars or marked on your skin. But slowly, quietly, it begins to show. The moments you can't focus, the energy that slips through your fingers, the goals you delay, the confidence that fades, all because a part of you is no longer yours. Lust demands payment in silence. It doesn't steal everything at once. It drains you, drip by drip, breath by breath, thought by thought. It takes your discipline, your direction, your edge. You begin to chase illusions and call it pleasure. You begin to numb yourself and call it peace. But deep down, you know something's wrong. The hunger never ends. The high never lasts. The satisfaction always turns sour. Because lust isn't built to fulfill. It's built to control. To keep you dependent, restless, distracted from your higher self. Look closely. How many relationships were destroyed by silent cravings? How many dreams were dimmed because focus was lost to fantasy? How many moments of greatness were traded for cheap, fleeting fire? This is the true cost, not just what you feel, but what you miss, the person you could have become, the discipline you could have mastered, the empire you could have built, all traded. For what? A sensation? A secret? Shadow? You think you're feeding lust, but it's feeding on you, and it will keep feeding until there's nothing left of the man you were meant to become. Unless you stop, unless you stand up, not with shame, but with fire in your eyes, and say, no, more. Because only when you understand the price do you begin to fight for your worth. The chains you break become the strength you carry. Now you see it clearly. The first chain was never about desire. It was about control, not of the world around you, but of the world within you. You've faced the whispers in the dark. You've witnessed how craving dresses itself as freedom but steals your focus, your discipline, your very sense of who you are. You've felt the cost of surrender and the emptiness that follows. But now you stand at a crossroads. One path winds back into the comfort of craving, endless cycles of short-lived pleasure that blur your purpose and muddy your mind. The other? It's quieter, harder. It demands you wrestle with the shadows inside, to strip away illusions, to reclaim everything you gave away piece by piece. It requires you to be vigilant, not just against external temptations, but against your own mind when it tries to convince you to settle for less than mastery. Breaking free won't happen overnight. It won't come through denial or shame. It comes from understanding that your power doesn't lie in indulgence. It lies in restraint. Every time you choose clarity over chaos, discipline over desire, you shatter another link in the chain that once held you captive. You create a new path, one built on strength, not surrender. And when you finally break that first chain, you'll realize something unimaginable. You were never meant to be ruled by desire. You were meant to rule your fate. The question is, will you keep feeding the fire that burns you, or will you rise from its ashes and finally seize control? The choice is yours. Reclaim your mind, and the rest will follow.